Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here, man. Mike thinks he's got everything under control. Absolutely, positively does not. But let me break down to you, you know what I'm saying, how this story ends, y'all. Mike has called on two old buddies of his that's in the world, you know, in the criminal world, to go by and try to get that videotape that he's on having an orgy with three women, right? With side piece number 2. You know what I'm saying? He thinks he's got everything worked out with side piece number 1, and that's pretty much locked and cocked, suited and booted. But the issue was side piece number 2. The real issue, deeper than having side piece number 2, is that his wandering eye. His wandering eye is what got him into this. Now let's just go on and tell the rest of the story though. See, Mike gets a visit from his two partners. They come back to him and they had a video. They have a video. But see, they on the double cross. They get paid first by him. He's got the video and he thinks that everything is straight, that he's gonna be fine, everything is cool. So he paid side piece number 2 a visit. You know what I'm saying? When he flies back out of the state and goes to the city she's in, just to drop in and whatnot and tell her that, you know, no hard feelings and all this, because he thinks he has the ups. He thinks he has the ups. But here's the thing. She's not going to tell him. She don't tell it what's really going on. She plays the role as it is. She's got the information. If she ever wants to do it to him, she could do it to him. What she was doing, y'all, was preserving her empire. Give them a copy of that. Then they can still make money. You feel what I'm saying? Together, even though right now she doesn't know how they're going to make money. But at the same time, make Mike, the pastor, believe that everything is straight. So he'll continue to move and groove like he wants to move and groove. You understand what I'm saying? She just has to chalk the 5. It ain't no big deal. She's got plenty more tapes of plenty other people that have visited her. You understand what I'm saying? This is how she eats. This is how she gets her bread, right? So everybody's thinking, you know what I'm saying, get them a side piece and all this and that. And usually when you have your side piece, they might want to tap the phone, they might want to call, and might want to drop by your job or drop by your house to try to embarrass you, your family, and all this and that, right? But you might be dipping your toe into a well that's really, really deep, and you don't know how to tread water when you get to playing with them sharks, right? And side piece number 2 is a real shark. Where side piece number 1, she was just in it for the allure of the lifestyle. You understand what I'm saying? So now he's invited somebody else into this thing, his two partners. And his two partners, they trying to get paid. They see the potential of this, right? And his two partners, they jump all the way into the dope game. But here's the thing about being in the dope game. If you get into the dope game on a level where you're making real paper, can't take it to the bank. Man, look here, dudes out there might tell you this, but pull up at the bank. This ain't Scarface. Pull up at the bank with a duffel bag full of money and see what they do to you. See what they do to you. They're going to call the police. You're going to jail. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Now, his two partners, they understood the game. They understood the game. Now, keep in mind, Mike, he the pastor of the church on this other side of town, right, in the city where it's kind of rough and tumble, right? And the pastors over the whole mega church thing, they're trying to get Mike to help bring in a lot of people in these areas, bring them into the fold. Bring them into the fold. But see, they didn't understand that Mike was a wolf in sheep's clothing. This was a hustle for him. This was a hustle for him. He's been playing the role of a believer when he's really been a deceiver all of this time. And now he's got a beautiful wife, this first lady, with a daughter that he promised to protect, right? A daughter he promised to protect and cherish and raise right. All of these things have become just parts of his con, even his wife and daughter. All of the people that have come into his circle, it's all been about what they could do for him, how he could continue to live his life. His heart was still iced over. And now, here we go. His two partners tell him, say, look, we need a favor from you like we did a favor for you. And he said, anything, just ask. Now, they know he on shites because they watch the tape. They see him in there buck naked and swinging. You feel me? So they tell him, look, they got some money. that they need washed and cleaned up. You know what I'm saying? So they can use it legitimately without bringing the attention of the feds. And he looks at him, he said, there's no way I can do that. If I run that money through the church, you feel what I'm saying? Then it's going to belong to the church. They said, well, run it through the church, but then deposit it into your personal account as payment from the church. You keep the books, you over that, your deacon board, and they're breaking it all down. Your deacon board, your treasurer, all of them will do that. Get them on board. And he telling them he can't do that. There's too many people to get involved, and then there's too many people that would have to be corrupt that he don't know that's corrupt. They don't know that he's corrupt. So they dropped the bomb on him. They said, look, you either do it, kind of about what happens to you. You see, again, like I want y'all to understand about the game. You understand what I'm saying? About this code. This code is about being deceitful, manipulative, no integrity, no honesty, a liar, all of that. That's what this life is about when you say you about this life. So if you about this life, he's not supposed to be worrying about what's going to happen to the deacon, what's going to happen to the treasurer. Get it done, and then when the bottom falls out, keep your mouth shut. Think about that. Everybody hooping and hollering, talking about you ain't about this life. This ain't no rap video. This ain't make-believe streets. This is real deal stuff with consequences for real people. They don't care nothing about that. And when they drop that video on Mike and let him know that they got a copy of that video, they know what he been doing, then he has to make a choice. And he makes the choice that they knew he would make. They decide together how much to wash every month. And when I say they out there booming, they booming. They've even turned it into a situation where they're washing money for other drug dealers. Other dope boys is in on this. They don't know the details. You can't give up all the game to everybody that you deal with. That ain't game. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? So now they running a real enterprise. They got several dope boys involved in washing their money through Mike. He don't even know it. He just think he's dealing with his two partners. Well, these two criminals. We're not going to call them partners. They're not his partners. They don't care about his well-being any more than he does. You understand what I'm saying? They're treating him how he treats other people, how he lives. Deceitful. So he's washing all of this money through the church. Now let me tell you something. Just because you washing money through a church don't mean them folks ain't watching. Don't mean that at all. Because check this out. That assistant that he checked, that he got out from under. See, people have animosity towards certain people when they get checked, especially when they stop to look at you and they start to see you ain't the person that you put on to be. I might not know exactly what's going on, but my instinct is telling me something ain't right about you. Something ain't right about you. Because one thing he does know for sure is that he had an app on the phone that gave him all the phone and text messages to whatever and whoever the pastor was talking to and about. Now all of a sudden he don't. And he's starting to suspect that his girlfriend was in on it too. She knew what was going on with the pastor. And she might have been involved. So he dropped down on her. The assistant dropped down on her. He played her like a funky piano. He told her, he said, look, I ain't tripping about whatever you and pastor had. I love you. Right? And I want to be with you, but I can't be with you if you're not going to be honest with me. We can put this in the past if we just break down and be honest with each other. But what she don't know, he recording the whole conversation. He got several different devices in the room. It's in the kitchen. That's recording this just in case one don't work. He want multiple tapes of this, right? So she, after a while, she admits that her and the pastor, Mike, were doing their thing. She admits it. And when she admits it, after she comes clean about everything, he asked her, he said, well, what about the app that I had on his phone? What was he talking about? What was he saying? And she said, before I started messing with you, he was talking about whenever we would meet up and wherever and all this old kind of stuff and whatnot. And that's what that was about. And he asked her, what about this other number? She said, I don't know anything about another number. It's just my number. I don't have two phones, she told him. So now he knows that Pastor is dirty. And he's having an affair on the First Lady. He's having an affair. So he confronts the pastor with this information. He confronts the pastor with this information. And his girlfriend goes with him. So the pastor's trying to weasel out of it and all this. And then he finally just taps out and he said, okay, now what? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with the information? And he told him, I'm going to give it to your wife. And he said, what good is that going to do? You're just going to ruin her life. You're not doing anybody any good by doing that. He said, well, you need to step down and resign from being pastor. He said, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that at all. So he says, well, you say that, but I'm going to give you 48 hours to step down. And if you don't step down, I'm going to turn this information over to your wife and let the deacon board deal with you. And I'll be done with it. Now, the assistant don't know how deep Mike is in the streets with these two drug dealers. He has no idea that it's real. He has no idea in threatening the Mike, he's threatening the drug operation. So Mike goes to them and tell them what he's been confronted with, and they tell him, we're going to take care of that. But Mike tells him, man, don't do nothing silly, man. Don't do nothing silly, because I can't have something like that and then continue to do what I'm doing. You can't have that. Plus, Mike was getting a little cut of the money too, so he's all in with it now. I'm talking about they running some serious dollars through there. You understand? Laundering that money. So they catch the assistant going to his apartment. Him and his girlfriend, Sidepiece number 1. Like they did Sidepiece number 2, they wait until they getting ready to go in the front door. They push their way in, got the pistol behind their head. They get all the way up in there. Once they up in there, they start whooping him. She's standing to the side screaming and shouting and hollering and all this old kind of stuff. So one of the partners, he tells her, shut up, I'm going to gun him down. She puts her hand over her mouth and she's just standing there crying. She don't understand what's going on. She didn't see it getting this serious. This was just about sex. Why are they so serious? Why are they hurting him like this? And they tell him, say one word to anybody about Pastor. I mean one word. And we'll be back to see you. And in this situation, they didn't show him their face. So he has no idea who he's dealing with at all. She doesn't either, because she's not from there, remember that. So when they leave him on the floor, battered and bruised, blood everywhere. He can't even move, they whipped him so good. Pistol whipped him, kicked him, hit him all in his face, everything. Whipped him real good, like what we would call up in the penitentiary, they gave him a pumpkin head, swole him up. Swole him up. As soon as they left, she called the pastor, Sidepiece number 1, that is. She said, why did you do this? He's on the other phone. Now he in full gangster mode, y'all. He in full gangster mode. He said, how is he? She said, he's laying on the floor bleeding. He's alive, but he's hurting. She said, the pastor said, take him to the hospital. Tell him to keep his mouth shut and everything will be fine. You don't have to worry about it. It was in that moment she realized she dealing with a real monster here. A real monster. He's not playing. Standing up in the pulpit, hooping and hollering and all this and that every week. But then he done sent 2 goons through there, man, that really put in work for him. So she knows that she's dealing with somebody that's not playing. Now he's fully back in to the streets. He's conflicted with the lifestyle that he's living, but this is it. This is what he knows. This was a hustle the whole time. And don't nobody in the streets willingly give up their hustle. I'm telling you, nobody. You can think what you want to think. Ain't nobody willingly giving up their hustle. So the pastor gets off the phone and he chills for a while. And he goes and he tells his wife that he loves her, kisses his daughter goodnight, tucks her in the bed, and he goes into the study. And the 2 guys that he's been in business with, the 2 drug dealers, they're waiting for him in the study. They sit down and they talk and they chop up everything and decide how much money is going to be ran through this and that. And he's showing them the books and everything is looking good right now. Everything is looking real good. But what they underestimated was the resolve of the assistant. He wasn't just going to take no butt whooping. Now, he don't realize how deep this is. But he just wasn't going to take no butt whooping. He wasn't going to do it. So he called the police. Police put him in touch with the detectives. And he tells the detectives everything he knows about the pastor cheating and all this and that, right? And how the pastor had sent somebody to whoop him. But what the assistant didn't know, what the detectives knew, is that the two guys, the drug dealers that the pastor been dealing with, they've been under surveillance by the feds. So they called the feds and let the feds know, wait a minute, we got a thread. We got a thread. I think if we pull on this thread, we can unravel this whole thing. We can unravel the whole thing. So what they did, they come down and they talked to the assistant, and the assistant laid everything out. They listened to the tapes. So here we go. Side piece number 1. You up. You up. Now, they don't understand the role that side piece number 2 is playing, but they understand that he's got a wandering eye, talking about Mike, the pastor. So they tell him, we need him on tape. We need some leverage. We need some leverage, something that can break him down. Because we feel like that he's laundering money. We need to get access, but we ain't got proper calls right now. She gives him a call. She tells him that all of the things that have been going on, which it was true, the excitement about it, all the situation, it is turning her on. And she wanted to see him. She wanted to meet him. So they met out of town at their regular spot, but the pastor didn't know the whole spot is wired up. Wired up. So when they get to the spot, she actually lets him feel on the kiss on the touch on all this and that, right? They get it all on tape. They bust through the door. How you doing, pastor? Got the, you know how they got the jackets on, the FBI and all this and that. They tell him, look here, man. We need to rap. Get dressed. So they step into the front. One of them stay in the room while he get dressed. He comes out shaking. Now, he been in the penitentiary. State, but he never dealt with the feds. Oh, this big boy leaves, boy. You done graduated. Around here whooping people. All this and that. Because you got a wandering eye. That's what this is about. So when they get him, they got him. And they looking at the situation, not understanding what's really going on. All he thinking is that this is about money. Thinking it's about dope. Nah. It's about more than that. You laundering money for several different drug dealers on this particular side of town in this particular state. Several of them. You running a criminal enterprise. He didn't even know it. So now he feel like he need to trade up. So he tells them the information that the two guys that he in business with, when he sent them to side piece number 2, he tells them about that and how she got blackmail tapes and she got politicians and everything. So they said, what's her name? Do you have her number? So then they use him to set up her so he can get his charges reduced. He calls her, sets the meet up. He goes down there, sets everything up. And then they raid the junk. And they got her. Now, they want information that she can trade up. So she gives up the tapes. The whole enterprise fell. Like I told you, they pulled on the string. You find that thread in any criminal enterprise and pull it, and it'll all unravel because it's not built on solid ground. It's not built on fertile ground. It's soil that is spoiled, no good to anybody. So when you think you want to get involved in this lifestyle on whatever level, this was a preacher. Think about it. If you're not going to do it right, don't do it. Leave that criminal stuff alone. It means nothing. There ain't no future in it. Ain't no future in it. Just thought I would drop that on you, right? And I hope you understand what I'm saying in this episode and all of the things that I'm saying in this whole series, right? It's just not worth it. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.
I'm getting